There is a quiet voice within you that has never believed in your limitations. It has watched you doubt yourself. It has watched you shrink in rooms where you were meant to expand. It has watched you measure your worth against opinions, circumstances, and memories. And still, it whispers with unwavering certainty, you are more than this. You have no limits except the ones you believe in, not the ones your parents named, not the ones society rehearsed, not the ones your past mistakes seem to confirm. The only true boundaries in your life are the invisible lines drawn by belief. And belief is not a fact, it is a thought, repeated until it feels like truth. From the moment you entered this world, you were infinite possibility expressing itself in human form. You did not arrive with a list of deficiencies. You did not come stamped with labels of not enough. You arrived as pure awareness, as boundless consciousness clothed in a body, as a spiritual being having a human experience. And somewhere along the way, you began to forget. You began to listen to the noise. The ego loves noise. It feeds on comparison. It thrives on separation. It insists that you are what you own, what you achieve, what others say about you. It whispers, you must prove yourself. You must compete. You must defend. And the more you listen, the more confined you feel. The ego builds walls and then convinces you that the walls are necessary for survival. But the soul knows no walls. The soul does not compare. The soul does not compete. The soul simply expresses. It is like the sun, radiant, effortless, shining not because it needs approval, but because shining is its nature. You do not ask the sun for credentials. You do not demand that it justify its light. It shines because it is light. And you, at your core, are the same. The limitations you experience are not structural, they are perceptual. They are lenses you have unconsciously agreed to wear. If you believe you are unworthy, you will filter life through unworthiness. If you believe you are incapable, you will interpret every challenge as confirmation. The world will appear to agree with your belief because your belief shapes what you are willing to see. Change your thoughts, and you change the architecture of your reality. This is not a motivational slogan. It is metaphysical law. The universe responds not to your wishes, but to your vibration. And your vibration is the energetic signature of your thoughts. If you hold in your mind the conviction that you are limited, life will present circumstances that mirror that conviction, not to punish you, but to reflect you. The world is a mirror, not a judge. And the mirror is asking you gently, persistently, what do you believe about yourself? If you believe you are small, you will live cautiously. If you believe you are broken, you will seek constant repair. If you believe you are separate, you will feel alone even in a crowded room. But if you begin to believe, truly believe that you are an extension of divine intelligence, something extraordinary begins to happen. You stop asking for permission to be who you are. You realize that the same force that spins galaxies also beats your heart. The same intelligence that orchestrates the tides also orchestrates your breath. You are not a random accident in a chaotic universe. You are an intentional expression of infinite creativity. And infinite creativity does not create limitation as its essence. It creates expansion. Every desire you have to grow, to love, to create, to transcend is not egoic ambition. It is the soul remembering itself. It is the infinite calling you back to your own vastness. The discomfort you feel when you play small is not failure, it is misalignment. It is the inner knowing that you are capable of more. But the ego resists expansion because expansion threatens its control. The ego survives on fear, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of loss. It tells you that stepping beyond your comfort zone is dangerous. It tells you that dreaming too big will only lead to disappointment. And so you compromise. You negotiate with your own potential. You shrink to fit expectations. You dim to avoid criticism. You silence your intuition because it seems impractical. And yet, the quiet voice remains. It never shouts. It never argues. It simply waits. It waits for you to become still enough to hear it again, because the soul does not compete with the ego. It transcends it. There is no justified resentment in a limitless life. Resentment is the belief that someone else has the power to define your boundaries. It is the illusion that your expansion is contingent upon another's behavior. But when you truly understand that you have no limits except the ones you believe in, you realize that holding on to resentment is choosing confinement. Forgiveness is not about excusing others, it is about releasing yourself. When you forgive, you dissolve the belief that the past can dictate your future. You reclaim your creative authority. You say, I will no longer allow this memory to determine my capacity. And in that moment, you step out of the prison of history and into the freedom of presence. The present moment is where your limitlessness lives. Not in yesterday's regrets, not in tomorrow's anxieties. Now, this breath, this awareness. Right here, you are unbounded. The past is a story. The future is imagination. But this moment is life itself unfolding, and life is always expanding. When you anchor yourself in the now, you step into the field of infinite possibility. You are no longer defined by what has been or what might be. You become available to what is emerging. And what is emerging is always greater than what you have previously believed possible. The greatest barrier to your expansion is identification with the ego's narrative. I am not talented enough. I am too old. I am too young. I have failed too many times. These are not truths. They are sentences you have repeated. And repetition creates familiarity, and familiarity masquerades as certainty. But certainty is not the same as truth. Truth is expansive. It liberates. It feels like openness in the chest, like breath moving freely, like a sense of calm strength. Egoic belief feels contracted. It feels tight. It feels defensive. Your body will tell you which is which if you listen. You have within you a guidance system more sophisticated than any external authority. It is intuition, the soul's language. It does not shout commands. It nudges. It invites. It offers a subtle knowing. And when you honor it, you move beyond perceived limitations with surprising grace. You begin to act not from fear, but from alignment. And alignment dissolves resistance. When you are aligned with your higher self, you no longer chase success, you attract it. You no longer seek validation, you radiate authenticity. You no longer strive to prove, you simply express. And expression is limitless because it is sourced from infinity. Consider a seed. Within that tiny form is the blueprint for a forest. The seed does not question whether it is worthy of becoming a tree. It does not compare itself to other seeds. It does not doubt the possibility of growth. It simply responds to the conditions that support its expansion: sunlight, water, soil, and it becomes what it already is. You are that seed. Your beliefs are the soil. If the soil is rich with possibility, you will flourish. If the soil is dense with self-doubt, growth will feel difficult. But even in dense soil, the life within the seed remains intact. It waits for nourishment. Nourish yourself with thoughts that reflect your divinity. Speak to yourself with the same compassion you would offer a child learning to walk. When you fall, do not label yourself incapable. When you stumble, do not declare yourself flawed. Instead, see each experience as part of the unfolding. There are no failures in a limitless life. There are only lessons expanding your awareness. You cannot discover your vastness by clinging to smallness. And smallness is always a belief. The moment you question a limiting belief, you loosen its grip. Ask yourself gently, is this absolutely true? Often you will find that it is not. It is an interpretation. And interpretations can change. You are not required to carry yesterday's conclusions into tomorrow's reality. Imagine living as though you truly understood that you are an extension of the divine. How would you walk? How would you speak? Would you diminish yourself in conversations? Would you tolerate relationships that constrict your spirit? Would you hesitate to share your gifts? When you know who you are, hesitation fades. You do not need to become something new. You need only to remember what you have always been. The ocean does not need to prove its depth. It simply is deep. You do not need to prove your worth. You simply are worthy because you exist. Existence itself is evidence of value. The universe does not create anything without purpose. And your purpose is not a job title or a role. It is the expression of your unique vibration. No one else can express consciousness in exactly the way you do. That uniqueness is not accidental, it is essential. When you believe in your limitations, you withhold your expression. And when you withhold your expression, the world loses a frequency it was designed to receive. Your freedom is not selfish, it is service. When you transcend your own boundaries, you become evidence for others that transcendence is possible. You become a living demonstration that beliefs can change and that change transforms reality. You no longer teach through instruction alone, you teach through embodiment. The most powerful statement you can make is not verbal, it is energetic. It is the quiet confidence of someone who knows they are infinite. It is the calm presence of someone who is no longer threatened by comparison. It is the compassion of someone who recognizes the same divinity in everyone they encounter. When you see others through the lens of limitlessness, you release judgment. You understand that their limitations are beliefs, just as yours were. You respond not with criticism, but with understanding. And understanding expands both of you. You are not here to be confined by fear. You are here to explore the edges of your potential and discover that there are no edges. Each time you step beyond a perceived boundary, you realize that it was never a wall, it was a shadow. Shadows disappear in the presence of light, and you are light, not metaphorically, but energetically. You are consciousness expressing itself. You are awareness experiencing form. When you align with that truth, fear loses its authority, doubt loses its volume, the need to control dissolves. You begin to trust life, and trust is the gateway to expansion. Trust that what is meant for you cannot miss you. Trust that your intuition is guiding you toward growth. Trust that every challenge is an invitation to transcend a belief that no longer serves you. Trust that you are supported by an intelligence far greater than the thinking mind. The thinking mind calculates. The soul knows. When you shift from calculation to knowing, you stop negotiating with your dreams. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You act from inspiration rather than obligation. And inspiration carries a power that obligation never can. You have no limits except the ones you believe in. So believe in something larger. Believe that you are capable of love beyond your fears. Believe that you are capable of success beyond your history. Believe that you are capable of healing beyond your diagnosis. Believe that you are capable of joy without justification. Because belief is creative, and you are the creator of your experience. This is not about denying difficulty. It is about redefining identity. Difficult circumstances do not define you. They reveal you. They reveal the beliefs you hold and the strength you can access. When you see every experience as an opportunity to remember your limitlessness, life becomes a classroom of awakening. You are not here to survive. You are here to awaken. To awaken is to realize that you are not the voice of doubt. You are the awareness hearing it. You are not the fear. You are the presence observing it. And the observer is always larger than the observed. Rest in that awareness. Feel it now, the space in which thoughts arise and dissolve. That space is you. And that space has no boundaries. Thoughts come and go, emotions rise and fall, circumstances change, but the awareness in which they appear remains constant. That awareness is limitless. When you identify with it, you are free. Free from the need to prove, free from the fear of failing, free from the weight of past definitions, free to create, to love, to expand without apology. And in that freedom, you discover something profound. You were never meant to live within the confines of belief. You were meant to use belief as a tool, not a cage. Choose beliefs that expand you. Choose thoughts that align with your highest self. Choose interpretations that empower rather than restrict. Because the moment you choose differently, reality begins to reorganize itself around your new vibration. You are not at the mercy of circumstance. You are a co-creator with the divine. And co-creation requires participation. It requires the courage to release old narratives and step into new possibilities. It requires faith, not blind faith, but experiential faith born from alignment. As you move forward, remember this. Every limitation you encounter is an invitation to question, to expand, to transcend. Do not resent the invitation. Accept it with curiosity. Ask what belief is ready to be released here, and then release it. You will not become limitless in the future. You already are. The work is not to gain something new. The work is to dissolve what obscures your true nature. You are infinite awareness in human form. You are possibility embodied. You are light remembering itself. And the only limits you will ever know are the ones you choose to believe. So choose wisely. Choose expansively. Choose in alignment with the truth that has always been whispering within you. You are more powerful than your fears, more vast than your doubts, more divine than you have ever allowed yourself to imagine. Step beyond the belief and discover that there was never a boundary at all. And as you step beyond what you once believed was possible, you may feel a moment of disorientation. That is natural. When a bird first realizes the cage door has been open all along, there is a hesitation, not because it cannot fly, but because it has forgotten what flying feels like. You, too, may hesitate when confronted with your own vastness. You may ask, who am I without this story? Who am I without this struggle? Who am I without these carefully constructed limits? You are freedom. But freedom can feel unfamiliar to a mind conditioned by fear. The ego prefers predictability, even if that predictability is painful. It would rather be right than be free. It would rather cling to a limiting belief that feels certain than embrace a possibility that feels expansive. And so when you begin to release your boundaries, the ego may protest, it may amplify doubt, it may resurrect old memories as evidence of why you should remain small. See this not as sabotage, but as transition. When darkness resists light, it is not because darkness has power, it is because light is emerging. Every time you choose to believe in your limitlessness, you are strengthening a new neural pathway, a new energetic pattern, a new relationship with yourself. The old patterns may echo for a while, but echoes fade when not reinforced. You do not have to fight your limitations. You simply have to stop feeding them. Every time you repeat, I can't, you water the soil of confinement. Every time you say, this is just who I am, you solidify an identity that may no longer reflect your truth. But when you pause and say, perhaps there is more available to me, you create space, and space is where miracles enter. Miracles are not violations of natural law, they are expressions of higher law. They occur when belief aligns with possibility rather than fear. They occur when you surrender your attachment to how things must unfold and open yourself to how they can unfold. Surrender is not weakness, it is trust in a greater intelligence. When you surrender limiting beliefs, you are not giving up control, you are releasing the illusion of control. You are acknowledging that the thinking mind does not have access to the full spectrum of reality. You are allowing the deeper wisdom within you to guide your path. There is an ancient truth that whispers across cultures and traditions. As within, so without. Your inner landscape determines your outer experience. If you cultivate thoughts of scarcity, you will perceive scarcity everywhere. If you cultivate thoughts of abundance, opportunities will reveal themselves like doors you never noticed before. The world has always been offering you more than you believed you deserved. When you raise your belief about what is possible, you raise your capacity to receive. Receiving is an act of self-worth. It is the declaration that you are aligned with goodness, and goodness is not a reward, it is your birthright. You were not placed here to struggle endlessly against imaginary walls. You were placed here to expand your consciousness, to explore love in all its dimensions, to create from inspiration, and to realize that the power you have been seeking has always resided within. Look at your life as it stands today. Every accomplishment, every relationship, every challenge has been shaped in some way by what you believed you were capable of experiencing. Now imagine what could unfold if you expanded that belief by just a fraction. Imagine the conversations you would initiate, the risks you would take, the dreams you would dare to articulate. The future does not intimidate the soul. It excites it. It excites it because the soul knows that growth is inevitable. It knows that consciousness is always evolving. It knows that no matter how confined you have felt, there has always been more within you waiting to emerge. And emergence requires courage. Not the loud, dramatic courage of grand gestures, but the quiet courage of choosing a new thought, the gentle bravery of questioning an old identity, the steady resolve to act in alignment with your higher self, even when fear is present. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the recognition that fear does not define you. When you stop identifying with fear, it loses its authority. It becomes a sensation passing through awareness rather than a command you must obey. You begin to see that fear is often a sign that you are approaching expansion. It is the edge of your current belief system being stretched. Do not retreat from that edge. Stand there, breathe there, trust there. Because on the other side of that edge is a version of you that is freer, wiser, more aligned. A version of you who no longer seeks validation from external circumstances because they have discovered validation within. You are not here to meet expectations. You are here to meet your essence. Essence is not concerned with comparison. It does not ask whether someone else is more talented or more successful. It asks only, are you expressing what you were designed to express? When you align with that question, competition dissolves. There is room for everyone in a limitless universe. Limitation is a product of the belief in separation. When you believe that resources are scarce, that love is finite, that success is exclusive, you begin to compete. But when you recognize that you are connected to an infinite source, you understand that your expansion does not diminish in others. There is no need to shrink to make room. The sky does not limit one star so that another may shine. Each of you carries a unique frequency. When you dim yours, the universe does not become brighter, it becomes less complete. Your authenticity is not optional, it is essential. And authenticity requires the courage to release borrowed beliefs. How many of your limitations were handed to you by someone else? How many were absorbed unconsciously from culture, from family, from past experiences? And how many of them have you actually examined? Examine them now. Hold them up to the light of awareness and ask, is this truly mine? If it is not, you have the authority to release it. You are not obligated to carry inherited doubt. You are not required to perpetuate narratives of insufficiency. You are allowed to redefine yourself at any moment. Reinvention is not betrayal of the past, it is evolution of the present. The caterpillar does not apologize for becoming a butterfly. It does not cling to its former identity out of loyalty. It responds to an inner impulse to transform. You feel that impulse too. It appears as restlessness when you stay too long in what no longer fits. It appears as dissatisfaction when you settle for less than your potential. It appears as longing, a quiet yearning for something more aligned, more expansive, more true. That longing is sacred. It is not greed. It is not arrogance. It is the soul calling you toward a larger expression of yourself. When you ignore it, you feel stagnant. When you honor it, you feel alive. Aliveness is the sign of alignment. When you wake each day with a sense of possibility rather than dread, you are aligned. When you approach challenges as opportunities to grow rather than threats to avoid, you are aligned. When you extend compassion to yourself and others without condition, you are aligned. Alignment dissolves limitation because alignment reconnects you to Source. Source is infinite. It is creative. It is loving. And you are not separate from it. You are an individualized expression of it. Just as a wave is not separate from the ocean, you are not separate from the divine. The wave may appear distinct for a moment, but its essence is the ocean itself. When you remember this, insecurity fades. How can you be insecure when you are an expression of infinity? How can you be unworthy when your very existence is proof of divine intention? Worthiness is not earned. It is inherent. The only thing that obscures your inherent worth is belief to the contrary. And beliefs can change. You have changed beliefs before. You have outgrown opinions. You have revised assumptions. The same mind that once believed in limitation can learn to believe in possibility. The same heart that once closed in fear can open in trust. You are not fixed. You are fluid. Fluid beings do not cling to boundaries. They flow around obstacles. They adapt. They evolve. When you identify with your fluid nature, you stop seeing yourself as confined by circumstance. You see yourself as capable of responding creatively to whatever arises. Creativity is the language of limitlessness. When you create, whether through art, conversation, problem solving, or love, you step into your infinite capacity. You tap into something beyond the thinking mind. You become a channel for inspiration. And inspiration does not operate within the confines of fear. It flows where belief allows it. So allow more. Allow yourself to imagine outcomes that once seemed unrealistic. Allow yourself to speak dreams that once felt too ambitious. Allow yourself to step into rooms that once intimidated you. Each act of allowance stretches your belief system. And with each stretch, you discover that what once felt impossible now feels natural. That is the journey of awakening. It is not a single dramatic moment. It is a series of gentle realizations. Realizations that you are not your past, that you are not your fear, that you are not your limitations. Realizations that you are awareness choosing how to experience itself. When you choose to experience yourself as powerful, you act powerfully. When you choose to experience yourself as loved, you radiate love. When you choose to experience yourself as limitless, you begin to live without self-imposed ceilings. There will always be challenges in the human experience, but challenges are not limits. They are invitations. Invitations to deepen your faith, to expand your resilience, to strengthen your connection to Source. The mountain is not there to stop you. It is there to reveal your strength. The storm is not there to break you. It is there to show you that you can stand in the rain and still remain whole. And as you continue walking this path of remembrance, you will notice something subtle but profound. The more you release limiting beliefs, the lighter you feel. The more you trust your divine nature, the calmer you become. The more you align with your highest self, the more effortlessly life unfolds. This does not mean life becomes predictable. It means you become centered. Centered in the knowing that no external condition can define your internal worth. Centered in the awareness that every moment is an opportunity to choose expansion over contraction. Centered in the truth that you have always been more than the stories you told about yourself. You have no limits except the ones you believe in. And belief is a choice renewed in every moment. Choose the belief that honors your divinity. Choose the belief that reflects your potential. Choose the belief that aligns with love rather than fear. And watch as the boundaries that once felt solid dissolve into open space. You are not confined by the horizon. The horizon only appears as a limit from a distance. As you move toward it, it moves with you, revealing more sky, more land, more possibility. Life is like that. There is always more available to you than you can currently see. Your vision expands as your belief expands. And when you dare to believe in your own boundless nature, you step into a life that reflects that truth. Not because the world changed overnight, but because you did. And when you change the belief, you change the experience. You awaken to the realization that you were never meant to live within walls of your own making. You were meant to explore, to love deeply, to create boldly, to forgive freely, to trust completely. You were meant to remember. Remember that you are not a fragment struggling for survival. You are consciousness expressing itself with intention. You are the dreamer and the dream. You are the creator and the creation. You are the infinite, choosing to experience itself as you. And infinity has no limits, except the ones it temporarily believes in. So release the belief and return to who you have always been. There is a quiet place within you that has never made a mistake. It has never stumbled, never spoken a harsh word, never chosen poorly, never lost its way. It has simply observed. It has witnessed every triumph and every regret with the same gentle awareness. That place is who you truly are. And when you begin to live from that place instead of from the memory of your errors, you discover a freedom that no past event can take from you. You have been taught to identify yourself by what you have done. The world keeps score. It reminds you of the wrong turns, the broken promises, the opportunities missed. It whispers that your past defines your future, but the soul does not keep score. The soul does not dwell in the courtroom of yesterday. The soul exists only in the boundless field of now, where becoming is always possible and where growth is the only direction. Think of a tree in winter. Its branches may look barren, twisted, even broken, but the life within it is not diminished by the season. The tree does not apologize for losing its leaves. It does not cling to the memory of autumn. It stands rooted, trusting the unseen pulse of life moving through its core. And when spring arrives, it does not hesitate. It simply becomes green again. You are that tree. Your mistakes are only seasons. They are not your identity. The ego, however, wants you to believe that you are the winter branches. The ego thrives on labels. I failed. I hurt someone. I ruined my chance. I am not worthy. The ego is a voice that insists on permanence. It says, this is who you are now. You cannot escape it. But the ego is not your essence. It is a collection of thoughts, rehearsed stories, emotional imprints, replayed so often that they feel solid. And yet they are no more solid than clouds drifting across the sky. If you look up at the sky on a stormy day, you may see dark clouds rolling overhead. They can feel overwhelming. They can seem endless. But you know something deeper. The sky itself is untouched by the storm. The sky does not become the cloud. It allows the cloud. And when the wind shifts, the blue expanse is revealed again, unchanged. You are the sky, not the storm of your mistakes. You are the awareness in which those memories appear and disappear. When you cling to regret, you are attaching yourself to a thought form. You are saying, this thought is me, but how can a thought be you when you are the one observing it? How can a memory define you when it is simply a picture arising in your awareness? The very fact that you can witness your past means that you are not the past. You are the presence in which the past is remembered. Freedom begins when you stop arguing with what has already happened. There are no justified resentments toward yourself. There is no value in punishing your present self for the ignorance of a former version of you. At the time you made that choice, you were operating from the level of awareness you had. You were acting from the consciousness available to you in that moment. Growth is not about condemning that version of you. It is about thanking it for bringing you here. Imagine if a child learning to walk condemned itself for every fall. Imagine if it decided after stumbling a few times that it was simply bad at walking and should sit down forever. Yet as adults, we do exactly that with our spiritual growth. We fall in love with the idea of perfection, and when we do not meet it, we imprison ourselves in shame. But life is not asking you to be perfect. It is inviting you to expand. You are not here to relive your mistakes endlessly in your mind. You are here to become more conscious because of them. Every misstep carries within it a seed of wisdom. When you release the emotional charge and look with compassion, you see that each so-called failure was a teacher. It revealed something about your attachments, your fears, your beliefs. It showed you where you were still asleep. An awakening is not possible without first recognizing that you were dreaming. The ego wants you to cling to your errors because it feeds on identity. If you can say, I am the one who always messes things up, then you have a story. And the ego loves stories. It prefers a painful identity to no identity at all, but the soul does not need a story. The soul knows it is infinite. It knows that your essence is not damaged by experience. It knows that your worth was never contingent upon performance. When you begin to release the need to define yourself by your past, something extraordinary happens. You step into the present moment without the weight of yesterday pressing on your shoulders. You start to see possibilities where there were once only limitations. You realize that the future is not a continuation of your mistakes unless you choose to make it so through repetitive thought. Change your thoughts and you change your life. This is not a slogan, it is a metaphysical truth. Thought is creative energy. When you rehearse regret, you are planting seeds of self-doubt in the fertile soil of your subconscious. When you choose forgiveness, you plant seeds of expansion. The mind is like a garden. It does not question what you plant, it simply nurtures it. If you continually sow the idea that you are flawed beyond redemption, that is what will grow. But if you plant the understanding that you are a divine being learning through experience, a different reality blossoms. Forgiveness is not about pretending something did not happen. It is about releasing the emotional bondage to it. When you forgive yourself, you are not excusing behavior. You are freeing your energy. You are saying, I will no longer use this memory as a weapon against myself. And in that decision, you reclaim your power. There are no justified resentments, even toward yourself. Resentment is like drinking poison and expecting healing. It binds you to the very thing you wish to escape. When you carry resentment toward your past, you keep it alive. You energize it. But when you choose forgiveness, you allow it to dissolve. You let it become part of the tapestry of your life without letting it dictate the pattern of your future. You are not your ego. You are not the collection of labels you have accepted. You are not the sum total of your errors. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. And human experience includes misjudgment, misunderstanding, and misalignment. These are not sins against your soul. They are stepping stones toward awareness. There is a deeper intelligence within you, a quiet inner voice that has always known your wholeness. It speaks softly. It does not shout like the ego. It does not condemn. It does not compare. It simply invites. It invites you back to center. It reminds you that beneath every mistake was a longing for love, for security, for connection. And when you see that, compassion replaces criticism. You cannot become more while clinging to who you were. Growth requires space. Just as a seed must break open to become a tree, you must allow the shell of your old identity to crack. That cracking can feel uncomfortable. It can feel like loss. But it is not destruction. It is transformation. The caterpillar does not mourn its former shape. It enters the cocoon and emerges as something entirely new. The memory of crawling does not prevent it from flying. What would your life look like if you stopped introducing yourself to yourself as the person who failed? What if, instead, you began to see yourself as the consciousness that learned? What if you recognize that every experience, even the painful ones, contributed to your depth, your empathy, your understanding? Living in the now is the gateway to freedom. The past has no existence outside of your thoughts. It is a memory, and memory is a mental construct. The only place you can breathe, act, love, and create is here. When you anchor yourself in the present moment, the grip of past mistakes loosens. You realize that right now, in this breath, you are untouched by yesterday. You are fresh. You are new. You are becoming. The universe is not keeping a ledger of your errors. It is responding to your current vibration. When you align your thoughts with love, forgiveness, and possibility, you harmonize with the creative force that sustains all life. That force does not see you as broken, it sees you as evolving. You are already enough. Not when you fix everything, not when you make amends perfectly, not when you achieve some imagined standard of flawlessness. Right now, in your imperfection, in your humanity, you are enough. From that place of enoughness, you can choose better. You can act with greater awareness. But you do so from love, not from shame. Mistakes are not walls, they are doorways. They invite you to step through into deeper consciousness. But if you stand outside the doorway, berating yourself for having approached it incorrectly, you will never see what lies beyond. Walk through, let the lesson integrate, and then move on. Be free from your mistakes, not by denying them, but by transcending them. See them as chapters, not the entire book. See them as brushstrokes, not the whole painting. Your life is a masterpiece in progress, and every color, even the dark ones, adds dimension. You are here to become more loving, more aware, more aligned with your divine nature. That becoming is not hindered by your past unless you cling to it. Release the grip, trust the process, know that the same intelligence that turns acorns into oak trees is guiding your evolution. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine placing every regret into a river. Watch as the current carries them away. Notice that you are still here. Your breath continues. Your heart continues. Your awareness remains. That awareness is your truth. It is vast, compassionate, and eternally capable of renewal. The soul always knows. It knows that you are not the mistake. You are the miracle that emerged from it. It knows that growth is inevitable when you are willing to learn. It knows that freedom is your natural state. Stand in that knowing. Let it fill you. Let it replace the old narrative. You are not bound by yesterday. You are free to become more. You are free to expand beyond the confines of your old self-concept. You are free to love yourself as deeply as the universe loves you. And as you release the weight of your mistakes, you will feel lighter, you will feel open, you will feel aligned with something greater than any single event in your history. You will feel the quiet joy of being present, unburdened, alive. This is your invitation to forgive, to release, to awaken, to step beyond the illusion that you are defined by what you have done. You are defined by the consciousness you choose now. Choose love, choose compassion, choose expansion. Be free from your mistakes and free to become more. And as you choose love, something subtle yet profound begins to shift within you. The energy that was once trapped in self-judgment begins to flow again. It is as if a river that had been dammed by guilt suddenly finds an opening and the waters move freely toward the sea. That movement is your natural state. You were never meant to be stagnant. You were never meant to circle endlessly around old memories like a moth around a fading flame. You were meant to expand. Understand this deeply. The universe is not interested in your self-condemnation. It is interested in your awakening. The divine intelligence that animates your breath does not withhold love until you get it right. The sun does not shine only on those who have never erred. The rain does not fall only on the blameless. Nature does not discriminate. It simply expresses itself. And you, as an extension of that same creative force, are here to express, to evolve, to grow beyond what you once were. When you hold on to your mistakes, you are resisting your own evolution. You are trying to freeze yourself in a moment that has already dissolved into the past. But life is movement. Life is expansion. The cells in your body are constantly regenerating. The person you were 10 years ago does not even exist at a cellular level anymore. Why, then, would you insist on carrying the psychological identity of that former self? Why cling to an outdated version of you when even your body has moved on. You are not obligated to remain loyal to your former limitations. You are not required to relive the same internal script simply because it is familiar. Familiarity is not truth, it is habit, and habits can be transformed. When you become aware of a thought pattern that keeps you imprisoned, I always mess things up, I'm not trustworthy, I don't deserve happiness, you have the power to question it. And the moment you question it, you loosen its grip. Ask yourself, who would I be without this story? Who would I be if I no longer introduced myself to my own mind as the person who failed? You might discover a spaciousness. You might discover a lightness. You might find that beneath the story is a being who is curious, open, willing to try again. This willingness is sacred. It is the spark of the soul. It is the quiet courage to step forward even after you have stumbled. And that courage does not come from the ego. The ego wants certainty. It wants guarantees. It wants to avoid risk so it can avoid further damage to its carefully constructed identity. But the soul is not afraid of growth. The soul understands that growth often requires discomfort. Consider the metaphor of a sculptor working with stone. The stone may experience the chisel as harsh, as disruptive. Pieces fall away. Edges are reshaped. But the sculptor sees what the stone cannot yet see, the emerging form, the hidden beauty waiting to be revealed. In many ways, your experiences, including your mistakes, are the chisels shaping you. They are removing what no longer serves you. They are refining your awareness. Yet you must cooperate with this process. If you resist every chip of stone falling away, you remain unfinished. If you cling to every fragment of who you once were, you prevent the masterpiece from emerging. The question is not whether you have made mistakes. Every human being has. The question is whether you will use them as tools for awakening or as chains of self-imprisonment. There is a profound difference between responsibility and shame. Responsibility says, I see what I did. I acknowledge its impact. I choose to learn. Shame says, I am fundamentally flawed. I am unworthy. Responsibility empowers. Shame paralyzes. One leads to growth, the other leads to stagnation. When you take responsibility without shame, you step into your power. You become the conscious creator of your next chapter. And remember, you are not alone in this journey. Every soul walking this planet is learning. Every person you admire has faced moments of regret. The difference is not that they never erred. The difference is that they chose not to be defined by those errors. They allowed their past to inform them, not imprison them. The mind may try to revisit old scenes, replaying conversations, highlighting what you should have said or done. Notice this without judgment. The mind is conditioned to seek resolution, but the only true resolution comes from acceptance. You cannot change what happened, but you can change your relationship to it. You can look back with compassion rather than condemnation. Compassion toward yourself is not weakness. It is strength rooted in understanding. It is recognizing that you were doing the best you could with the awareness you had at the time. And as your awareness expands, your choices will naturally reflect that expansion. You do not need to force transformation. You need only to remain open to it. The present moment is your point of power. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, now. In this breath, you are free to choose a different thought. In this heartbeat, you are free to release an old identity. The past cannot reach into this moment unless you invite it through your thinking, and you have the authority to close that door. When you align with your higher self, the part of you that is connected to divine intelligence, you begin to act from inspiration rather than fear. You begin to make choices, not to prove your worth, but to express it. You realize that your value was never diminished by your missteps. It was simply obscured by your belief in them. You are a divine being in human form. That is not a metaphor. It is a metaphysical truth. The same creative energy that forms galaxies flows through you. And that energy is not concerned with perfection. It is concerned with expression. It delights in growth. It rejoices in expansion. To be free from your mistakes is to remember who you truly are. It is to step out of the narrow confines of ego identity and into the vast field of spiritual awareness. It is to see yourself not as a collection of errors, but as a soul on a journey of becoming. And becoming is a lifelong process. There is always more to learn, more to integrate, more to express. But this more is not about fixing what is wrong with you. It is about uncovering what has always been right within you. It is about peeling back the layers of conditioning that told you that you were less than whole. Freedom is not found in rewriting your past. It is found in releasing it. It is found in standing fully in the present, knowing that you are capable of new choices, new directions, new expressions of love. It is found in trusting that the same intelligence that guided you through every previous chapter will guide you through the next. So let your mistakes become teachers, not tyrants. Let them inform your wisdom, not dictate your identity. Let them soften your heart, not harden it. For in the end, what matters is not that you never fell. What matters is that you chose to rise with greater awareness. You are free, free from the illusion that you are your past, free from the chains of self-judgment, free to become more compassionate, more conscious, more aligned with your divine nature. And as you walk forward from this moment, carry this knowing with you. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to awaken. You are here to remember your true essence. You are here to become more of who you already are. Be free from your mistakes, and in that freedom, discover the limitless being you were always meant to become.